Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Scree gear is more than apparel. It's a tribute to the relentless, the tireless, the true guardians of the wilderness. It's for those who seek not just a game, but a legacy. Not just a sport, but a way of life. In our gear, you're more than a hunter. You're a story, a tradition, a legend in the making. Scree is your journey, your triumph, your success. Join the working man revolution. Success awaits.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the Seabees. Definitely, I think, it's the Basic Badass Podcast, and I got to say, the Seabees kind of fit into that badass category. You know, we fight, we build, right? I mean, what else is there? We build and we fight, which is it, Kevin?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
We build and we fight.
Build and we fight.
That's it.
All right. So here's the thing. Well, I don't know if you guys, if you've been listening a long time, you already know this, but me and Kevin were both in the Navy. And I know when I picked out my stuff, I was a young married guy, and I ended up, I had a kid pretty early on. And so I in my mind, I wanted to be, I want to do EOD or a SEAL or something badass and go have a lifetime of kicking ass. But ingrained in me somewhere, I felt like I had to just have a, let me think, like a sense of responsibility to provide for my family. Maybe it's a part of the German upbringing or, whatever it is, I don't know. But I just felt like if I just do something, it's kind of, I know it sounds crazy, but it's selfish to my family. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm cheating my family of what I owed them. If I go do something like that, like, everybody wants to be a firefighter or go join the FBI or whatever. But, something cool, I mean, maybe it's not the FBI, maybe the government bothers you too much. And I know they're painted in a little bit of an ugly light these days. Trump calls them bad things or whatever. I don't know. Basically, everybody in government calls the FBI bad things. Depends, what their ruling is that day. They're always taking sides, even though the sides might be opposite every other week. You know how it is.
Right.
So anyway, I felt like I had to choose a career that would kind of get me paid in the long run, where I'd be able to take care of my family and be a provider later. And so I was a electronic technician. I fixed like radios, radars, that kind of stuff. And to me, it was something that was going to get me paid and at least a job and a career path. I wasn't really down for sitting down for college and that kind of thing, although I kind of got blindsided with that one because apparently the Navy sent me to school for forever and it just felt like college anyway, But anyway, this is, I think, what got me thinking too about the Seabees is they really have opportunities. Now, these guys are badass, all right? So the Seabees fall into a bunch of different, 7, 8 rates? I think it's 8 different rates.
Yeah.
You can be a builder. This guy's like a straight construction guy. And like by the time you get to a builder first class, you're basically like a construction supervisor. You're able to go out and get paid and you sure as hell should be able to build a house. Um, at the end of it, Kevin, do you think? I mean, are these skills are they going to be able to follow codes and like that's going to pay off in the outside world when you're a builder in the Seabees?
Yeah, I think really what the benefit of the CBs is that it's always pushed that it's a can-do attitude. You know what I mean? It's regardless of what's going on, you're going to complete your task ahead of schedule.
Nice.
And I think that's in big demand with people doing construction. I can't tell you how many shit jobs I've been on where, they bid a certain price and get in with the low bid and then start stacking up money on top of that. Oh, we got to do this too. We got to do this too. And a job runs over, nothing gets done right.
Yeah.
Everybody's dragging ass, and that's not the type of mentality you go into when you're coming out of the Seabees. I was stationed with a CB unit down in Little Creek, Amphibious Construction Battalion 2. Now that was basically landing crafts on the beach, landing barges on the beach and then driving equipment off and transferring. They would sink big fuel bladders out in the water off the beach and run a hose up and pump it into vehicles. So that way the fuel tank couldn't be damaged, because it was underwater. And everything would just be pumped up onto the beach to fuel everything, whether it's diesel, jet fuel, gasoline. And, basically the whole idea of what I liked about being with the CB unit is the whole idea was that no matter how difficult it is, you get it done ahead of time, not, whatever. Even if it's impossible, it might just take a little bit longer. That's what they'd say, whatever it was, it would get done and it'd get done fast. Now, there's a lot of, I think there's 7 ratings here. So there's a construction electrician, construction mechanic, engineer aide, equipment operator, steel worker, and utilities man. Now, a lot of that stuff really has to do with getting the hot water going, getting people access to showers, getting people access to clean drinking water, setting up kitchens and setting them up field hospitals and things like that, getting the projects together. Now, the Seabees were founded in 1942, and a lot of the original guys that were in the CB units were not actually military guys. They were actually construction workers that were sent overseas. And most of it was in the Pacific theater, but there were Seabees in Normandy and things like that. Now, most of them are establishing beachheads, so it's not, in-depth fighting. But in the Pacific, a lot of that was just, it was all beachhead. It was all islands. It was all, small little areas that you'd go in, and a lot of it was paving, building runways, building roads for transportation. And what they found was a lot of these construction workers were getting shot at and killed. So they initially started by just arming them, by just giving them weapons. And then they introduced that, then they turned it into an actual Navy battalion, Navy rating.
Yeah, that seems to be a theme with the military is like, oh, let's just give them guns and then it'll be fine. Because, I mean, if they have guns, come on.
Right. But these guys were construction workers. Yeah. And they were burly, mean.
Since we're not going to train them how to use the guns, we'll just tell them don't put any bullets in it. But if they have guns, then they're going to be safer.
Then it's good. Yeah. And a lot of these guys were mean, burly guys, and you don't have a tank, but maybe you have a bulldozer, and that just works that way, I know there's a John Wayne movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I think it was The Fighting Seabees is the name of the movie from like maybe 1965 or something like that, black and white. And it was a terrible movie, just awful, But what I would find a lot is with the Seabees, they would be working with special forces and advanced areas. You know what I mean? It's not, they're not like way behind the front lines. They're ahead of the front lines, moving equipment forward. and repairing roads, repairing railroad tracks, and that sort of stuff, and getting things moving to make a spearhead into enemy lines. So a lot of the time it would be an active combat zone while they were building and defending the equipment or defending the structures they're building and the roads and that sort of stuff. So it was definitely an interesting thing. I know when I was in the Seabees, we spent a lot of time training with defending convoys and that sort of stuff. I know the equipment operators were those were some legit guys. Whenever I worked with them, they knew their stuff, and they were some ballsy motherfuckers. They had no problem risking very expensive equipment just to see if it could drive through 4 feet of water or not. Reckless a little bit.
The thing is, you have your own mechanic on staff, so
that's right, and you can tow it out. You just pull it back out. You hook a cable on it and yank it out.
There's always another bigger vehicle to grab it.
Exactly.
I was actually watching some of the videos on CB attachments and stuff, and that was like the first thing that struck me was, damn, they have some awesome fucking vehicles. Everywhere I looked, I'm like, that thing's badass. Look where that could go. Holy shit, that they have some cool shit.
Yeah. So there's one story about a guy named Marvin Shields. He was I believe he was an equipment operator. And they're building a runway in Dongzhou, which was 50 miles north of Saigon during Vietnam, 1965. So they were out at this advanced base here. There are 11 Green Berets there of Special Attachment A342 and 400 local fighters there. And they came under attack from about 2,000 Viet Cong. They fired about 400 mortar rounds into the base, the military base there, and Shields was wounded. So they started returning fire, and Marvin Shields was moving ammo and stuff forward, and firing at the enemy, and got shot in the face, a second wound. Which, I mean, I've never been shot in the face. It sounds unpleasant, but he just kept working on it, and the Viet Cong ended up setting up a machine gun nest up above where the Green Berets were, and Second Lieutenant Charles Quincy Williams asked for a volunteer, and Shields volunteered to go up there. And what they did was they loaded up rocket launchers and were able to get around the nest and blow it up. But on their way back, Shields got shot through the legs, both legs. One bullet went through both legs. So they drug him back, and he didn't make it. He didn't make it when they, of all the people that were there, only 15 people survived, and only one of the 15 people wasn't wounded. But he got the Medal of Honor for conspicuous bravery and going above and beyond the call of duty. And I think a lot of the guys that I worked with in the CB units were, I don't want to say crazy, but they were a little bit crazy. You know what I mean? They'd go a little bit further. Concussion was like just a minor thing you brush off, I saw guys with broken jaws and just from being reckless and doing crazy shit, which I really like those types of people. I like people that are reckless and do dangerous stuff. And that's really what those guys really were. To me, they were just people that were, no matter what happened, you were getting the job done. That was what you were doing. That was your mission, and you accomplished it no matter what. And, that's an important aspect, I think, of anybody that's in the military.
Right. That whole work hard, play hard kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I seem to remember some shenanigans. I was in Panama, and there was military housing kind of, and I seem to remember just crazy stories. They would I remember guys freaking throwing concussion grenades into the base housing because let's see what happens. Turns out those concrete buildings, just every window just goes out. And we come over and we're like, what the hell did you guys do? Well, that we just wanted to see what would happen and it would be funny. But again, I think these were the same guys that were
it probably was funny.
knocking over pizza guys on scooters just because, hey, let's see what happens, And I'm like, but you're kind of an asshole and free pizza on this one, It's But whatever, to each their own, right? No, that's it. They the Seabees, just really are that. The cool thing now is, you're awesome in wartime. You're awesome in peacetime because they're out doing humanitarian stuff. I believe, I was watching videos. They're showing them do stuff back here in the States, helping people out, bringing relief to different areas, which I don't know how that conflicts with, things that the military is allowed to do, but somehow that's what they were doing. They also had in 1955 Operation Deep Freeze up in Antarctica. Is it up or is it down? Which one? I don't even know.
Down.
It's down. Okay. No penguins.
That's the South. Yeah.
No penguins in the South, or is it
penguins? No polar bears.
Oh, no bears. Yeah. That's right.
Penguins down south, polar bears up north.
Right. That's the one. See, this is what you bring to the show. This is why I. So anyway, I believe they built a 200 Seabees built a 6,000-foot ice runway. And then I think they actually had to build it twice. Like they built it and then all of a sudden it got destroyed or messed up and then they had to start over. Like Shamu came busting up through the middle of it or something. I don't really know what happened.
Yeah, that happens.
But that's it. It's you say fuck and then you move on and you do the next thing. And that's kind of the whole thing though, is employers who've been in the military or know military people love to hire, veterans. I actually got my job because I went to a military headhunter where they will only find jobs for military people because employers are, there's a group of employers out there who are looking for people who, hey, how many days did you call in sick when you were in the military? Right?
Right.
Zero.
None.
I'm guessing, it
Zero.
Doesn't happen. So if an employer can look for that kind of thing, it really, sets you apart. You're the guy who, what, I got to get it done or people die. That's a different kind of mindset. And honestly, a lot of the times the training kind of reflects it. Now, the government doesn't always provide you with the best schools, although I felt like I did have really good schools in the Navy. But what I find is that people find a way to, those who know teach the other ones and you find a way to get the information out there because when lives are at stake, people, find a way to get it done. And that's one of the biggest things. It's funny, early on, in my working career when I was about 19, I kept calling my boss and I'd be like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know, whatever. And he's like, well, I've never had this problem before, but what do you think? And I'm like, well, I don't know what's right. And, I don't know. And he's like, look, just ask yourself, what would I do? And freaking, do it your own damn self, but that's kind of that.
Right.
That attitude that you get in the military, where, all right, what do I need to solve this problem? We'll say, all right, this radio doesn't work. Okay, well, to make the radio work, what do I need? Well, I need 5 volts here. I need 24 volts here. And I need a 5 megahertz signal here and, different things. I need an antenna. I need whatever. So start checking things. All right, which one don't you have? Well, what makes that happen? It's that whole approach of how to solve a problem. They always, it's that whole, you get people who,
Yeah.
the guys I work with now, we're like, oh, you couldn't troubleshoot your way out of a wet paper bag. It's just, you got to find a way to think outside the box and get shit done. And I think the military really brings that. And I think the Seabees are like the epitome of that. They really are guys who find a way to get it done. And that's just something that sets it apart.
One thing I noticed when I was in the Seabees is they had a knack for acquiring things, acquiring the equipment that they need. Some people might call that stealing. Um, whatever. That's splitting hairs. You know what I mean? But you acquire what you need and you get the job done. Whether it's to the detriment of everybody around you, what you have to do gets done, regardless of what it takes. And I thought that was a great attitude that I've kind of taken with me, to the rest of my life.
Is that where all my stuff is going?
It is what it is. You get it done.
Kevin finds
That's
a way
why
to
you don't have
acquire it
anything,
by
Chuck.
going in my
It's
truck.
all my basement.
Yeah, and it's in your basement.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds right. It's funny. My employer, I'm in maintenance for a big company, and they have all these. When you get there, they're like, "Oh, we're going to buy you this giant toolbox, and we're going to fill it up with all the tools and make it, everything you want it to be." So great. We all have these giant, 6-foot long toolboxes that are, 4 feet high and 2 feet wide. So first, we all had them in this designated area, and then they're like, "All right, you know what? We don't like that. You need to shrink that area because we need storage space." So they cut it down, and we're all like 8 inches off the next toolbox. You got to kind of push them around to get tools out, and it's ridiculous. I mean, we have a tool bag that we take with us. That's more your day to day. These are kind of all right, I need something bigger, to handle a job.
Mm-hmm.
But so then they were like, "All right, we don't want your stuff here anymore. You need to move to way over on the other side of the plant and put all your stuff there." And we're like, "All right." So they move them all there, and it's like a month process, right? Getting everybody to do it and find the time and find the space, whatever. We move all these toolboxes, and then yesterday we get an email. You can no longer keep your toolboxes here. Now, mind you, it's only been like 2 months since we just moved them to the new area they picked, because we decided we needed this space also. So you need to find somewhere. Now, we're talking about 50 toolboxes. You guys need to find somewhere to keep your toolbox, and it can't be on any of the production lines. And we're like, okay. And they're, and we're like, yeah, that's not anywhere at all. So I sent back in the email, I'm like, "Look, I'm willing to take my toolbox home. I'll keep it at my house. And if I decide I'm going to need a tool that day, I'll bring it in to work with me." And so we'll see how that works out. But to be honest, dude, I think they might go for it. That's how messed up the whole thing is. I think they're going to be like, "Well, that's a good idea." Because they actually proposed, if you can't find it, it's one of these, you just figure it out. I don't want to know about it. That's kind of the attitude
This is your
of the
problem.
world anymore. And they were like, and what they do is they turn it into something ugly for you if you don't solve it. But it's all the whole wink and a nod thing, So they're like, "Well, if you guys can't figure out how to make 50 toolboxes disappear, then we're going to cut it down to 2 and have like an electrician and a mechanic toolbox, and everybody can share it." And anybody who's worked in a shop, have you ever wondered why when you go to the car garage, they all have their own separate toolbox? Like when you go to the shop and you're like, "That's weird."
Yeah.
And you see employers are like, "Must have your own tools." There's a reason for that. Because if you share a toolbox with another guy, let alone 50 other guys, it turns out the tools aren't always there when you go back. but so I also don't know if we cut down the two toolboxes, what happens to the rest of them? And then they sent us a letter. If you leave your toolbox in an unapproved area, we're going to auction it off. And if it doesn't have keys to open it up, we're going to auction it off with tools in it. And I'm like, shit, I might want to bid on my toolbox.
Yeah,
like, this sounds like a great idea. And I'm like,
you won't even have to drill out the lock.
Yeah, I think I might be taking the toolbox home, is all I'm saying. But I did put in a request that I'm going to need a new, nicer toolbox if we're going to move forward like this. So I think they'll approve that because that's how we do things.
So overall, I think that's if you're looking to join the military, the Seabees definitely would be a great option. As far as ratings that you have when you get out, I've worked a lot in construction, and I'm pretty good at it, and I like doing it, and I like the people involved with it for the most part. And it's not a bad idea to know how to weld. To know how to operate backhoes and bulldozers. It's not a bad idea to have these skills going out into the world, especially when you're getting out of the military and you're 20, 25 years old or something like that. You're still a young guy. But employers really do look for that sort of attitude. They look for that sort of know-how and that ability to get things done regardless of the obstacles that you come up against.
That's it. I mean, that's the biggest thing of coming out of the military is, most people, obviously it's a mix, it's not, everybody doesn't end up taking away. They don't learn all the lessons available to them, but it's that can-do attitude. It's that I get shit done. I know how to make things happen, that employers who know what they're looking for, get pretty excited about.
Mm-hmm.
What you got?
Now, we were talking a little bit earlier about Biden's new plan to solve the gun crisis in the United States.
I'm excited.
The quote unquote crisis that we're dealing with. Now, I know that, that whatever hundreds of people die every year.
You mean in Chicago you're talking about.
Whatever, dude. 141 people on average die every day in car accidents, and nobody says a fucking thing about it. That's what lets you know that this is a political issue, not an actual concern about saving people's lives. If they're really worried about saving people's lives, they'd, focus on vehicles, not on guns. But whatever, dude. It's sad when one person ends up killing, 10 other people.
It's fucked up.
And it's sad when it's based on like nonsense that's, racist bullshit. I know that guy in, where was it?
Up in New York?
That guy that shot up the Taiwanese church.
Yeah.
He was Chinese and was upset about Taiwan and went and wanted to kill a bunch of Taiwanese people for whatever reason. I don't understand any of that sort of nonsense. But he really threw off the whole demographics because he was like a 68-year-old Chinese man. And I don't understand. That's not really the typical shooter.
No, it's
but I guess he was upset about politics.
White kid with mental issues.
Yeah, that's generally what it is. But, if you're going to solve that, there's no reason to look at mental health. It's really more important to just take away the tools that somebody would use, whether legally or illegally. Whatever. Guns kill people. People don't kill people, I guess. And that's how you solve that problem. But now it's so they're trying to push through some really gross laws, which to me, I feel like the Constitution specifically says the federal government can't be involved in making gun laws, but I guess I don't understand the Constitution. I've only read it, 20 or 30 times. I don't understand
That's why.
how that works.
Yep.
And I guess Joe Biden understands it better than I do. He has maybe read a different version that I don't know about.
His version, I know he mentioned that it has the good and plenty clause. So
Good and plenty, huh?
there's a
Yeah,
good and
I've heard
plenty
about
clause.
this.
Yeah, that's where he gets a lot of his
Yeah.
stuff from. Is the good and plenty clause. So
Mm-hmm. So they're talking about making a full registry of who owns firearms in the United States, which is a terrible idea. Get a good list of everybody that is armed in the country, and then when it's time, you can just go around and go to all those addresses. It's going to be real easy. I'm sure all those people are going to answer the door and welcome officers into their house to take their shit. Won't be dangerous for anybody, but I mean, if that's what you want to do,
right.
yeah, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. The problem is that the secret's out. You know, it's not like you can't build a gun in your basement.
What?
You know, I don't understand it. The technology is not that complicated. You can make your own gunpowder. You can make your own guns. It's not difficult to do. So I don't understand why they think that they can ban things that you can just build in your house with, you know, with some pipe and I mean, whatever, dude. Fuck those guys. Seriously.
There you go. I think we've definitely got to the point where I'm kind of like, well, most of the laws are just whatever the fuck they want, and it's them, and they do what they want to do, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and it's time to start thinking about taking care of your own shit and protecting your family and being responsible for you. Trying to comply with every ridiculous nuance that there is out there in the world is kind of impossible. And I think that's one of those things is when they make so many laws, you know, you end up at the point where it's like, look, man, which ones do you want me to follow? Well, you need to follow the intent. But if I intend to screw with you, then, you know, then I'm going to, you know, nickel and dime it down to whatever I can do to put you out of commission. And that's how
Yeah.
it
Well, and
it
let's be
goes.
honest. The Supreme Court ruled that an officer cannot search your vehicle over a traffic infraction. So if he pulls you over for speeding, he can't just search your car without any sort of cause. That was ruled by the Supreme Court because it's not possible to obey all the traffic laws. You can't physically obey all the traffic laws at all times. It's just not possible.
I mean,
and you know, I mean, I'm sorry. I thought this was fucking America. I thought that I was free here, but apparently not. Apparently I gotta like just take it up the ass from whatever politician is feeling whatever way he's feeling that day. You know, I'm sorry you're having your fucking period this week, but I still got my own rights. I still do whatever the fuck I want to do. You know, you're not the boss of me.
well, that's
I mean, whatever.
yeah.
Maybe I don't understand. Don't understand this life
There
anymore.
you go. That's the thing is like, oh my God, the little filament in the light bulb on your license plate went out while you were driving, or God forbid it went out a week ago and you didn't notice because you don't go check your license plate light every time you get in the vehicle because it, God forbid, may have been daylight when you started driving and now it's dusk. And
yeah. I got pulled over 3 months ago by the state troopers. It was about 2 a.m, and that's why they pulled me over. I was actually working, but they pulled me over because it was 2 a.m, and exactly that, my license plate light was out. And state trooper came up to me. I rolled down the window, gave him license registration, and motherfucker said, "I smell alcohol." Bitch, you smell alcohol because it's 2 a.m, and you're hoping that I'm drunk so you can get a good ticket out. I haven't had anything to drink for a fucking week. And you want to fuck with me, I'm working. You know what I mean? I can't even do my job because I got to deal with your bullshit now. You know, and so fucking an hour after I get pulled over, I'm finally able to leave after wasting all that fucking time. Meanwhile, I got an emergency going on, you know, another town over, and I'm dealing with your bullshit over nothing, over a fucking license plate.
Turns out you weren't driving at 2 a.m. just for fun. You actually had a reason. Who knew?
Right. Exactly. I had to get to someplace, and they had to make sure that I couldn't get to someplace on time because of nothing. They just wanted to keep me there and hope they could find something that was actually illegal. Because having your license plate light out is not technically illegal. It just, you have to get it fixed. So they give you a ticket, you get it fixed, and then you know, show that it's fixed, and then it's no ticket. It's not actually against the law. It's against the law to not fix it. So, you know, whatever. But I mean, you know, just aggravating shit.
I had a buddy of mine at work actually got pulled over, and same thing, license plate out. And it's funny because the light was out, and I've actually gotten pulled over for that here in the recent, seems like their go-to. Like the guy pulls me over, oh, your license plate light's out. But he's like, he can see I'm like in my work uniform and whatever. And he's like, oh, you're coming from work. And like my employer is a big employer. I think like 2,500 people or something work in the plant. It's a big deal in the area. And, you know, so they know like our shifts and our schedule, because, you know, when 400 or 500 people are getting off at work all at the same time, you're bound to run into that, right? And I get off and I'm heading home, and the guy pulls me over and he sees my work outfit there, and he's like, oh, you're coming from work. All right. I pulled you over for your license plate light, but you can go. And I'm like, yeah. And then I check when I get home, and it's fine. And then it's funny. So I was talking to another coworker, and he's like, yeah, I got pulled over the other day. And I'm like, all right. He's like, yeah, they said my license plate light was out, but it was weird because I got home and it was working just fine. So I can't figure it out. I'm like, yeah, I can figure it out.
Yeah, they pulled you over for fun to see if there was something they could fuck with you over. But
this kid's like, yeah, it was a girl cop and she frisked me. It was great. And I was like, I was like, dude, you're an idiot. He's like, yeah, she pulled me over. And I was like, yeah, I have a concealed carry, because where we are, you're required to tell them when they pull you over that you have a concealed carry. And he's like, yeah, I have a concealed carry. And he tells her about it, tells her where it is, and it's not like in his pocket or anything. And she makes him get out so she can frisk him so she can feel safe. But he's like, I already told you I have a gun. I told you where it is.
Why would you have the fucking license? Yeah, why would you tell somebody if you were intending on doing something shitty?
It's just the stupidest thing. You know, anytime I've been pulled over and I've told a cop that I have a concealed carry, they're like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. And I'm like, well, it's the fucking law that I tell you, so that's why I tell you. I didn't come up with the law. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
You know, I don't care. I'm like, well, that's great, but yeah, because I look old and tired and slow. That's why. They're like, yeah, that guy can't fucking do shit. He can't fucking move. He looks like he hurts. I don't know. Yeah. But bottom line, Seabees, badass. Like I said, it really is a thing where you get that can-do attitude, and that's what people are looking for. And I'm just saying, if you're going to commit a life to, you know, now if you're going to be a lifer in the military, then I think maybe the SEALs and EOD or Army Ranger and some kind of badass, that's probably the direction I'd go. But if there's any, you know, if you're just like, hey, I want to do my 4 years or my 6 years and you know, just kind of do some
GI
time,
Bill
GI
or whatever
Bill,
it is.
whatever. Find a skill that, you know, it's going to really take you somewhere and help you kick ass in the future. And it turns out, although you are doing a service and helping people in the military, and it's good, you can help people and be good by doing other things in the civilian world too. So taking those skills and being able to apply it in the rest of the world, while at the same time actually getting paid, it's not a horrible thing. So anyway, if you guys have show ideas, things you want to talk about, things you want to yell at Kevin about, tell him about how he's wrong, you can email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. You want some badass gear, you might go to preppingbadass.com, or otherwise, I would say stay safe and have a good week.
The Survival and Basic Badass Podcast is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.